our songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home. We more focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the Brujas let this last.
I don't know if the earth is painted blue.
You can see
That
me
was
all
the
right?
great sounds of Watsa with Outside on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Behind the brand with myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City Made, live from Daddy Butter Studios. His name is EZ Bluez. He's in the building. And our guest today is Alex Burnet, founder of Free As Birds Records. What's going on, Alex? Welcome to the show.
How are you?
I'm doing
Thank
excellent,
you. Thanks
man.
for having me. It's fun to be here on a rainy day.
Yeah, and, you know, it's a super rainy day, which, I mean, for some creative types, it's also a super artistic day. I do some of my best work when it's dark and gray outside. I don't know why it works for me.
No distractions.
Hey, that could be as well. That could be as well.
I tend to do my best video gaming on a rainy day.
Nice. What video games you playing?
I wish it was cooler, but I only play Fortnite.
Okay.
Yeah. I've never really been like a gamer, but then I downloaded Fortnite just to like, because I don't have any kids, and I was just like, man, I don't want to like get older and eventually be talking to like 25, 30-year-old kids who like make all these references to video games and stuff that I don't understand, because I like chose to get old, so I better download this and see what it is.
Nice.
And then quarantine hit, and I like hit up some friends, and I was like, yo, so there's this game, it's pretty lame. And they were like, yeah, we know what it is, it's pretty lame. And I was like, yeah, but let's just try it. I bet it'd be really fun if the four of us do it. And then we found out that it actually was really fun with like four people, because this is fun on Zoom, but like it's not really the same as hanging out when you're like sitting in a chair sometimes.
Right.
But if you're like running around a fantasy world playing paintball with sixth graders, it's pretty fun. So yeah, that's what I play.
It can definitely be addictive. It can definitely hook you in, especially the right one.
Yeah. Find me on there. Joan of Snark 5150.
What's Joan of Snark? That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah, and my buddy Pat Dalton's is Camper von Beethoven.
Oh, one of my favorite bands out there. Thank you. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I was thinking of making usernames that are actually just local businesses.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Like, yeah. My username is Christopher Martin's Bar and Grill.
I can't believe I just got killed by Christopher Martin's Bar and Grill.
Yeah.
Christopher Martin's Bar and Grill
and paint supplies.
Well, this is one of the things that I absolutely love and respect about you, is you translate this fun reverence to your art. Whether it be we have been Facebook acquaintances for a bit. The first time we met was through Zoom, actually.
Right. I remember that meeting. That was cool.
Yeah, for the Arts Council meeting. But since then, I've seen such incredible things like come from you, not just yourself. The label just released an incredible EP. With one of the most fun videos. Yep. One of the most fun videos shot by Haley Copes, who did a documentary that I was a part of for the Rock Lottery. Yeah. So it's just, I love to see. So the minute I find another musician and I see that they kind of flow into the same circle that I flow into, you're family to me. Like, that's just the way that it goes. It's like, oh, okay, this is another creative mind that understands the darkness and the craziness like I do. That's awesome. They are family. We're kin. But it's been incredible because you've had this this I'll say local success, but actually success with Laundry Day. I remember reading some of the reviews for the latest EP, and you had a release at the State House, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it all feels like a short lifetime ago. We're yeah, that's it's an interesting project. We've had some amazing opportunities. Like I think my favorite was playing Thing in the Spring up in Peterborough, New Hampshire, because like getting to say that you shared a festival bill with Iris Dement, and then got invited back the following year was like
right.
And I forget who headlined that year because it changed like 3 times. But I was really sad that it got canceled this year, even though I wasn't gonna be in it. But that was like you know, can't play every year. It's got to still be special.
Right.
But that was fun to then. It was going to be headlined by Little Wings, if you're familiar with them. West Coast songwriter. Kyle has been like a songwriting hero of mine since like, I don't know, high school.
Right.
Finding out about him, and now like the wildest thing to eventually come out of just all of this, because everything is like a kludgy mess, you know, like it all builds on each other. Now he's like a friend, and I was like, oh dude, you should be on this like compilation thing that I'm doing if Thing in the Spring isn't happening this year. It's like, yeah, I'd love that. I'm like, what a cool world. What a cool world to live in. It's just like you know, and I'm hoping that like after pandemic is over, Laundry Day can get back and try some more stuff. In the meantime, I've got a few solo records that I've been quietly working on because you know, when I started the label, I wanted to make sure that it didn't just look like I'd started a label to put out my own music.
Right.
Like I definitely wanted to put out other people's before I put out mine.
Right.
But like, that being said, it's like, okay, well now it's time to just like work and make like a savings account of recordings. So I've just been doing that. So hard to get out these days.
Well, no, definitely. And I'm sorry. No, I find it very, very interesting too that you use the reference as a savings account, because that's really, really what it comes down to. And a lot of people don't think about that. They don't necessarily understand that. You know, they're like, oh, whatever, you know, the song shows up on the radio, and it just happens that way, and that's just what happens. They all get together one day, and they press play on their little 8-track recorder, and boom, this is how it goes. They don't really understand that the hours upon hours that go into just the writing of the song, the fine tuning of the song, you know, then you know, taking it performance wise and seeing if it goes with a crowd. You know, there's been songs I thought were absolutely amazing, and I couldn't wait to record it. And then we play it live, and it doesn't hit, and you're like, okay, I was completely wrong. My bad.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've had that experience too. that you know, the important thing is that you make them.
Right.
Really, the important thing is that songs get written, because like you just can't know that until it's out in the world. I mean, the only good litmus test is that other people are down to like collaborate with you on it.
Right.
Is usually a good sign. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm recording a band of not one of my bands, but a friend's band. I'm recording at the moment, and the main thing that's really, I mean, they're great songs, but the thing that's really working is like they can do 4 identical takes.
Oh wow.
Like, and then it's just, and they can, you know, no stop, no pause. They wrote the whole thing like in rehearsal, not in a studio, not in recording. And so now recording it, it's like so easy. You know, that's like really, there's like, I don't know, I feel like there's a bunch of ways to write. Like it sounds like, I mean, there's the way where you that I've been doing a lot lately, where I sit down and I go, gotta write a song today.
Mm-hmm.
It can be whatever, and I just throw on a drum loop and I find chords that I like,
Right.
and I hum a melody, and I'm sure a lot of other writers do that as well. And it's just to like keep focused, keep active, keep the muscle working, because creativity is a muscle, and I mean everyone will tell you that. But then it, like, you know, if you want to catch lightning, you got to put out a lightning rod. So sitting around and sort of like writing a bunch of bad songs to like find a good one,
Right.
and recording it all only to find out later it's like, oh, you know, the A section from this one works with the B section of this one and blah blah blah. But like, still that live to your point about that like live thing, once it's like there, then go back and be like, okay, now it's written, but it's definitely now I gotta like bring it to a drummer, hopefully, and like teach someone the bass line so we can record this live, because there is such a heartbeat in like no click, drummer knows the part.
Right.
I think that's where like the greatest chance for success lies. Kind of.
All right. No, I definitely agree with you. It's been an incredible experience. Like we were lucky enough to get picked up by Vic Steffens and just be able to sit and do the work. But what I really loved what you said there was you're working with an act right now that is doing their writing in the rehearsal studio, doing their writing in practice, because look, studio time can be expensive. And, trying to be a smart business person while being an artist as well, you say, hey, we're spending, $90 a week at this rehearsal space, let's practice there, because we're spending $70 an hour at the recording studio.
Right.
So, it's better to waste the pennies instead of the pounds.
Absolutely. I mean, they approached me about recording them, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm touched. Wow, me? I mean, there's like so many great people who do it, but you want me? And like, they're like, yeah, we love like everything you've done. I was like, okay, cool. Well, and I decided to just, and I mean, I did study it in school when I was like in undergrad, but I like never, and I did sound for years, but I haven't flexed this muscle in like years. And I decided that the best way to like make this recording for them was to just go to 2 of their practices.
Right.
Before they came into the studio, so I could like obviously hear what I need to mic, where things are coming from, but like I don't know, give them advice. And I felt like the only advice I wanted to give them was just play this until you feel like you're getting bored of it, and then stop and don't play it for a week before you come in here.
Right.
Like keep the jitters make like rock and roll. The like, shaky hands make good rock and roll. I feel like that adrenaline is like, you got to have butterflies. It should feel like a high dive.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. It's that performance without a net. We've actually had the experience where we were, did a live take of a song. And Vic went over the monitor. He's like, wow, that was perfect. Too perfect. This is a rock song. Can we make it a little dirtier? And I'm like, oh, word. I'm sorry. We just played an acoustic show a couple of nights ago when we were still in the everything needs to be on point. The tie needs to sit perfectly, So I truly appreciate and respect that. And I also love the fact that you mentioned trying to record without that click track. That click track is so important for so many artists, especially like bands that have not had the ability to sit down and understand each other and learn the language of the jam. I mean, to me, that's one of the most important things, is to learn the language of how each musician you're sitting and playing with is going to play that instrument, and to get to that point where that if you get a feel like this, the drummer is going to come in with a hi-hat fill and a tom fill. So that's the point where you got to get that bass slide in there so the guitarist can hit that high note just perfectly. once you start to really, when you get to speak without words,
Totally.
it's such a beautiful experience, and not a lot of artists really talk about that. I mean, I speak with a lot of hip hop artists as well. And, I even tell them what you guys should be doing is jumping on the treadmill with a click track, sitting at whatever, beat per minute you want to do, and just spit. Yes.
And I love the whole, speaking without words, but we are speaking with Alex Burnet on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Behind the brand, myself, Prestige, and Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ Bluez is in the building, trying to fight the sound and trying to speak in live from Daddy Butter Studios. But Alex, before we piggyback off Easy's answer, I just want to get a little bit into your brain. What is the longest you ever spent into the studio? Because you told me, because what I heard from just previously, what you said about your fingers just going at it with these instruments and just going insane with it. What's the longest you ever put in to get your creativity out there?
Like, you mean in a session?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm here every Monday from about we're in my studio at the moment, by the way. This is where part of where I work. We've got the live room out there, but you can't see it. And
Awesome.
I'm here at least every Monday, usually every Monday, Friday, and Tuesday. But Monday I'm here for about 12 hours every week.
Okay. Word. Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I've been a partner in this studio. It's Bluez Studios for 5 years, and it occurred to me that it's I'm actually, if I were to go blind, I'd be more okay walking around here than I would be at home. It occurred to me that I've had this for longer than any single residence, and right around last February, I got the chance to take over the lease itself. So I did that, and it was kind of a headache, but got it done. And now I'm just okay, Al, you got to be over here a lot. you're it's not very expensive. I've got it subletted out, so it's very affordable for everyone who's in here. But simultaneously, I'm wow, I gotta get my money's worth. I'm a real all-you-can-eat buffet kind of kid. I want to go pay $20 for sushi and eat 40. So I decided last February or whatever to be over here at least 12 hours a week, and I shoot for more 20, 30 hours a week over here.
That's awesome.
Just yeah, some days I don't do anything. Some days I just polish my guitars. Some days I reorganize the VHS tapes, and just wait for inspiration to strike. And then but then it'll suddenly it's fun. It'll bite me.
Yeah.
And then everything's just ready to go. And I just hit spacebar on the computer, and then I'll look up and it'll be 1:30 in the morning.
You're I had so much to binge watch the other day, but
I know, no Fortnite for me. Dang it! Everyone's gonna be asleep. It's too late to play Fortnite now. I'll be on the Eastern servers where they're really, really good and just sweep with me. No, I'm not. But it's funny. I haven't gotten a lot of chances to jam all year. We were talking about jamming, and actually Sam Carlson and of SG and his girlfriend Catherine Von Anken and our buddy Pat Dalton. The other day I was just hey, we've all seen each other all locked down. We've all been safe and responsible and healthy. Plus the studio's got really big ceilings. Do you guys want to just have some beers over at the studio? Just have a quiet 4-person party. We ended up getting here at 8 and jamming, and just started jamming. We've got a Rhodes here. We're double personing the Rhodes bass. It was so fun, and we looked up and it was 3:45 a.m. and we've been going at this since 7 p.m. and we were all just wow, that was the first time we've gotten to just jam. all year, just no purpose, just jam.
Yep.
And it was great. Sorry, I'm getting misty-eyed.
It's extremely important. That's one of the things I've is not really talked about a lot, and we don't want to get heavy pandemic and stuff like that, because we've had those conversations 1.5 million times, but it really, 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 from a musician point of view and from that jam aspect, yes, I miss live shows, but I also miss just going and hanging out, with my family and speaking that language. And we've been lucky enough, we went to Sage Sound Studio for a little bit, we did some stuff at Cafe 9 practice wise, but when numbers start to shoot up and different things like that, we have to be more careful, and you have to really, crank in and be like, okay, we got to sit back here. And it's frustrating, but we know it's for a better cause. I'm not going to sit here and jam every single day with my family, and give up years upon years later of the ability to jam.
Savings.
Exactly. And that's why you have your savings account of music.
Yeah, there'll be I don't want to wait. It's not a waste, but I don't want to spoil all of it by just putting it out before it ever sees a stage with a band. I don't know. It's a funny thought, but oh man, speaking of live music, sweet story. Dean Falcone asked me to be part of his holiday covers thing, and I said, no, I don't like Christmas music, and I have a real complicated relationship with Christmas. I don't know, but I really do want to help out the good people of Cafe 9.
Right.
So what should I do here? And he was he suggested this Big Star cover, and I learned it, and I was sitting right here doing it, and I just was not loving my takes, and I went out into the hallway, and there was just some random musician from some that I'd never seen before, and I was like, hey, are you doing anything? And he was like, no. I was like, dude, do you want to mask up and come hear me play this Big Star cover? It's going to be so much easier with someone in the room, someone watching. And so we masked up and scrubbed up, and he was standing in the other side of the control room from me, but it was really sweet. He just goes I've gotten to jam with people, but this is the first time I've gotten to see anyone play music since March. I was like, wow, that's wild.
Yeah. No, it's rough, and it's very real,
Yeah.
Just I started out in this scene in New Haven more as an observer than anything else. When I first came over from Long Island, one of the first things I did was just continuously go out and try to understand what the scene was like out here, and was able to meet so many incredibly beautiful souls that I knew that this is where I wanted to find the people to create with. And to hear our brethren in Stars of Beyond did a show for Hip Hop for the Homeless, and that would be a show that Prestige and I would be sitting there front and center, bouncing up and down, because one, we love them as artists, but we love them as human beings, and just to be in that vibe with them is such an incredible experience, and to not have that, it's disheartening, and all we can do is keep our fingers and our toes crossed and just push forward, and like you said, build up that savings account of music. Last Friday we had a hip-hop artist, John Jeremy, on, and he was able to speak to something that I talk about all the time, the 10,000 hours. It is stated that to be a master of your craft, you need to put 10,000 hours in. And here you are, you've given yourself a little bit more responsibility by taking over the lease of the studio. And now you're forcing yourself into that 10,000 hours. I'm going to be there 3 days a week. I want to shoot for 15 hours, but I'm going to put in 30. And you're continuously investing that into your art and your craft. And that is a beautiful thing. This is where I once again say, for those that are driving and listening, it's time to pull over and take out your pen and your piece of paper and write this stuff down, because this is the most important aspect of being a creative, and being a creative when you're trying to monetize. Now, you in particular, you're not trying to monetize, you are being creative, and from your creativity, that is where a living and money is coming from. That's different than like some of the Instagram kids. And I'm not knocking anyone's hustle. I will never pour salt in another person's hustle. That is the way that they do it. But it is different than, I'm just going to continuously pump out this content, and maybe something will hit. You're perfecting your craft, fine-tuning that, and finding the right time to fully drop that beautiful piece of art. And that is commendable, especially right now when you have all of this material and nothing else to do. Like, I could just hit send on all of this and DistroKid will release everything to the world and it'll be fantastic. And then you look on your Spotify artist and like, 4 people listen to this month. And your heart gets broken all over again.
Definitely. There's definitely strategy with like, there's books that are probably written that I could probably read. And if there's not, I'd like to think one day I could write one about like the right way to like time music releases.
Mm-hmm.
Like, something I've been thinking about a lot lately, even after I started saving these songs for myself, I started to like think about, and it really became clear with like the SG Carlson release, that like, as much as you're selling an EP, you're selling anticipation of an EP.
Right.
Like, you're selling exclusivity. Like, that was like kind of why we went ahead and put like a track only on the CD.
Right.
That's not anywhere else, just because it's like people might or might not pay money for a CD, but they're certainly going to be more inclined to if they see that they can have something that no one else has. But also just like how to stagger, like get an article, put out a song, get an article, put out a song, as opposed to like the drop method of just like, hey, it's Friday and check it out, I uploaded my EP. Like, no one cares. Like, no one cares. Like, you just drop, surprise that, and it's like, now it's poof. You don't have it to put out again tomorrow. But like, like the drip method, I guess I'll call it, of like, 1,000, one drop does not a puddle make, but 10,000 drops makes a puddle.
Right.
I think I messed up that metaphor. I think it's supposed to be sand, but
Wait, sand makes a puddle?
No, it's a pile. Like, it's this. I wish I could remember the
Alex,
writer. Yes.
Can you remember, let's say the year 2011, Waiting for a Sunrise? That was a project you were really highly involved with. There was an article by Lucy Gelman from the New Haven Arts Council. She's also heavily involved with New Haven Independent, has her own show on this station.
Yeah.
And there was one line in that article where she says you were crying because you were so happy with the work that you put out with that project of Waiting for Sunrises. Now, from what I've seen, there have been 3 volumes. How many volumes are with that project, and how much does that mean to you of being part of it?
It still means so much.
Absolutely.
Big joy and great pain kind of like sort of over time become the same thing.
Okay.
Like, it's like I remember like definitely crying out of happiness that was happening, and there are only 3 volumes of that.
Okay.
There will only be 3 volumes of that. Things need, I've said it a dozen times, but if things are to start, they need to also end.
Okay. I'm totally with that.
So I'm thinking of like other interesting ideas for like group efforts, but I haven't thought of one that I love yet. So, but that was like a really special thing to be able to like help out artists and charities, and I'm still so touched that I got an arts grant. Like that backing from the city, that blessing like means a lot, and it's incredibly validating to like you know, over the 10 years next year that I've lived here, and I came here to be a musician, to like get that is like, that's like really meaningful.
It is.
And to like have grown a Rolodex that like all of those people were just a phone call. Like everyone on those was just like a phone call. I was like, oh, let me just call. I think I got I got their number. And it was, I enjoyed like, I mean, they're all people that I know, but still the cold call, and people would just be like, why are you calling me? Why did you not text me? Please, oh my God, please just text me. I can't do this over the phone. Like, I was like, oh, okay. And I discovered also I love talking on the phone. I'll talk on the phone for hours. But, like big millennial energy, but like I love talking on the phone. I also love texting, but like I miss I love people. I love talking to people. That's like been weird this year, but
there's a lot of great people in that compilation though. Tell me about some of these amazing independent artists that you had there. There was an artist called Bears. We had Little Wings on there. It was so many, like, you know, people that you do not know. Tell me about these great artists on your label. I want to know about them.
Well, you mentioned, so it's interesting that they are and are not on my label. We collaborated on this project, and part of the because it was going to be direct artist support, I wrote a light contract that basically said I had complete dominion of their songs for the first 30 days that it was out. And after that, they retained the rights to their original recordings.
That's awesome.
So they could then host them wherever they want and make more money. But the exclusivity, I needed it to only be there. On the Free as Birds page for the first 30 days. And then they can just do whatever they'd like to with their song. And like a lot of people have remixed their stuff and put it out and done other things with it. So that's cool. But some of the features that I got that I was really stoked on was Steve Hartlett was great to have. Also, I loved Moonchaz. I think she was one of my favorites.
So good.
Every time I read the word lockdown, I hum her melody, that lockdown, everybody on lockdown. I still, it's like glitched in my head. Bears are an interesting band. They're from New York. And met them on tour with Laundry Day in 2014. And like Kirill, the singer, and Mac, the bass player, are like, and actually, Kirill and Mac and Malcolm, I don't know, I think they have another person, but I don't know them yet. But Kirill and Mac became like two of my best friends. I like Laundry Day were planning a tour, and someone was like, hey, have you heard of this band Bears? And I was like, no. And they're like, I think you'd really like them. And so I like listened to them and like immediately sent them like this super late night drunken email, like proposing that we be best friends forever. And complete cold email. And they emailed back like, we love your enthusiasm. And my bandmate who had like roped me into them was like, don't you ever do that again to a contact I send you. We have to look professional. I was like, we're a stoner rock band. Nobody cares. This is the part. But who else was Footings was amazing to have on there. They have a record coming out soon on Feeding Tube Records. Yeah. Evelyn Gray was fun to have working on there. Her Audio Tree live session was really good that she just did. I mean, it's 30 artists. I feel really bad. Like trying to total recall 30.
Lane, man, it's almost going to be 10 years ago since this project.
Wow, this one just came through, right? This one was just one of the first ones done.
the Waiting on a Sunrise.
Yeah, the third installation you just released, correct?
Yeah, I put them out April of this year, May and June,
Okay.
I believe,
Okay.
or I did May, June, July of 2020.
Right.
Did you say 2011? Maybe I like just brushed over it because I was like, I moved here in 2011.
I don't think it's you. It's probably Google Chrome. It's kind of messing with me right now, but I'm very happy to correct about 2020.
Well, Alex, you have to understand.
It's timeless.
Well, you have to understand. It's Prestige's birthday today, and
yeah.
Google Chrome is messing with him for his birthday. That's
probably so.
You know.
Wow, what a sweet present from an information source you deem to be reliable constantly and infallible. what a thoughtful gift from the AI to like just be disruptive on your birthday.
Is there a better way though? I mean, why not?
You love to see it.
What I love about the artists that you've mentioned is they're so multi-genre. I mean the loop work that Evelyn does is just absolutely next level. I know that at one point in time they were talking. There was talk that there was going to be a phenomenal like loop show, like a loop only show with Chad Brown Springer, Evelyn Gray, Sarah Gali. They were having and I'm like, oh, I can't wait. And then, something happens.
Yeah.
But
Google Calendar messed with us. Got it.
Yes. Google Calendar messed with us. But you have these artists that are pushing the envelope, and they're doing it, with the musical foundation underneath them, which is absolutely beautiful. You have someone, and I take a look at like craft work, but also you really saw it in mainstream with like Trent Reznor. Trent Reznor really started to take the digital aspect of sound and really take music theory and apply it to the digital aspect. Following obviously like what Zappa was doing and different things like that. So, it had been done before, but really on a mainstream successful level, you really started to see that coming out of industrial. But to see now it being used like when Chad uses it through like his space hip hop type of stuff, or his space R&B, depending on which track he released at the time. It's so beautiful to see this new evolution. I remember watching the first time an artist, Howie Day, using all these incredible loop pedals, and it was just him and a guitar. And now you see that more and more, and you actually referenced in the beginning of this interview, you sit there with you put on random drum loop and you'll just create. Do you see this happening more and more as we move forward? And I kind of want you to answer this as an artist and as an executive, because you are both.
Suppose.
You are a label head, so you are an executive, and you are an artist as well. So
yeah, I guess as a creative director at the label, I'll always just see something like that possibly as an aesthetic. And people change from record to record, but a good song will always be a good song. And tape loops or like pedal loops or whatever do seem to be like a very hot trend, and I as a consumer enjoy a great deal of it.
Right.
But like any other like motif, it won't be the like star player forever, but it won't go anywhere either.
Right.
Like, we briefly touched on the year 2011, and nobody wanted it if it wasn't like acoustic guitar mandolin driven with like a foot stomp and a clap. Nobody was interested in tape loops at all. Like that was just very much like, I mean, you'd see it in like a jam band, but no one would be playing solo looped guitar really. I mean, people were, it wasn't like the flavor.
Right.
and then like skip ahead a few years later, and like everything is Big Muff revival.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody wants to book a folk band anymore, you know, but folk is still, and now it's coming back, and like tape loops are here, but like, you know, and there's like no sludgy Big Muffy stuff. I mean, there is, but you know, it's not like the flavor. So it's, you know, it's funny I'm not old, but like getting older in music, really. I used to watch the Dewey Cox story and be like, this is so cheesy. He's going through like a Beatles phase, and then he's going through like a David Bowie thing. And like the longer I stay in music, I'm like, oh wait, that's actually incredibly real. Like, that is very real. That is very real. Like, so I think that's going to be how this any like hot flavor goes. As an artist, I'm like very interested in electronic music, and like I mentioned, that in a classical setting was sort of my undergrad. So as an artist, I'm myself growing interested in sort of like the musique concrète kind of like precursor to almost like harsh noise. Like Pierre Schaeffer and Xenakis, and the ones who sort of like Reich, you know, Steve Reich, like as well. Just to name a few offhand, but like the playing with looping through like noise, almost less musical, but like I as an artist would like to see more of that, with people singing poppy melodies over it. But I don't think anyone but me wants to hear this. But I might try it out. I might see what's up. Just like I was over here for that last big hurricane, big nor'easter that came through. There's all these panels in this old warehouse building, and they all rattle at different frequencies. When the wind reaches over 65 miles an hour or whatever at the top of the building. And I was like walking around here with like these like crazy Sennheiser, I forget their call sign, but they're like not right behind me. I was just gonna hold them up, but they're like super long. They're meant for like recording like background noise for like a cafe scene for a motion picture. So I'm like walking around the building, like finding like which one is an E again, and like mixing these in and looping those. And I don't know, has that answered the question?
It has, and it's really interesting because I when I was on Long Island, there was a phenomenal recording engineer, guitar player, musician, Chris Randazzo, and one of the I love him as just a human being, but one of the most incredible things was every time there was like a really bad like thunder and lightning storm, he would be outside his window recording the storm, and then would take that and play it back and loop it, and then start playing guitar licks over it. So you get this extra, distortion in there. And what I love that you say here, and actually one of the first people who kind of said it to me was a hip hop artist, Bravo Exodus. We were at an event together, and this guy was freestyling over everything. The cars that were passing by became his background track. Every time it hit that manhole cover, that was when he knew it. And when you start to look at music, not just from this point of view or, from your phone point of view, and you start to look at it like, have you ever seen the movie August Rush?
No.
I do, honestly, like, I'm getting no money from this movie, but definitely take a listen to it. I think you're going to connect to it very, very, very much so. And it was a movie that really kind of changed me a little bit from an artist point of view. But it is that moment was when you can hear melody from anywhere, then you are never truly alone. And I think that's just a beautiful story. I want to get into some of your music though. We're lightning through this interview, and we haven't even we have 2 tracks to play for you. So
Before those,
Yes.
before the music easy, Alex, please let people know where to find you, and please also tell about your plans within 2021 for yourself.
Yeah, sure. Easiest way to find me is freeasbirdsrecords.bandcamp.com or Instagram, the same Free as Birds Records. Also Free as Birds Records at Gmail. Yep. So that's where you can get those, or usually this is where I'd list like a local business that I just haunt, or you could find me like just hanging out somewhere, but like not anymore.
Right.
You could find me possibly fishing in Chris Colo Park.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And one of the key points is definitely everyone jump onto Bandcamp. There's I think they're going to continue it for 2021. The first Friday of every month they do fee-free Friday. So 100% of the proceeds goes to the artists. Bandcamp has really stepped up. When you see all of these negative ads and information about like Spotify and other and streaming services not paying the artists what they deserve. I mean, I know artists that have over 10,000 streams and made, $21. But when then you have something like a Bandcamp where you can buy, wait for the first Friday of the month and buy that album and listen to it as many times as you want. And that money goes directly into making sure that artists can eat today. Or tomorrow.
And even on a bad day, I gotta say Bandcamp's like revenue take is like negligible. Like I think their percentage is about as much as like any PayPal transfer.
Right.
Like they do not take very much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's been awesome, man. Thank you so much. And for those who didn't know, we sent out the easy signal yesterday because we had a last minute cancellation, and Alex really took up the charge. And thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule and sitting with us. We're gonna close this out by just playing the songs back to back because time really is starting to creep up on us.
Sure.
It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Pleasure was mine.
Coming on Behind the Brand on 103.5 FM WNHH. Go ahead.
WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Behind the Brand, myself, Prestige, and EZ Bluez, Long Island Rays, Elm City Made, Alex Burnet. Thank you for being part of
it. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. Of course. Awesome. Now we're waiting.
Yeah, on the World Wide Webs.
Easy. Which track are you gonna present us today to close out the show?
Which track would you rather, Alex? You sent two.
The one that's from the Waiting on a Sunrise. What did I call it? Till I Stop Crying.
Till I Stop Crying.
Till I Stop Crying.
Till I Stop Crying.
Awesome. And hopefully the sky will stop crying and we'll have sunny days again.
Yeah.
We will. We got to look up. It's going to be a great 2020-21.
Sure is.
Yes, it is.
Gotta look up.
Unless on New Year's Day, on New Year's Eve, it turns into 13/01/2020, and then that's going to be a bad day.
No.
This year will never end.
We really got to keep the good fight going next year. There's a lot of change that still needs to happen, and a lot of it, I got to say, are not correlated to the number 2020. Like I don't mean to be negative. I mean to be positive that we need to like fix so many systemic problems in America with racial inequality and healthcare and women's rights, because there are a lot of really simple things that, like, unless we fix them, it's not going to be a much better year.
No.
Definitely.
The things that made 2020 awful are not 2020's fault. They are like the result of like 25 years of like bad planning on the part of like a corrupt government. And those issues will not go away because January hits. Like we can make these problems go away.
Yeah.
And we're off to a good start getting like the actual KKK member out of the office. We're off to a good start, but it does not a war win. There's a lot of
much work to be done.
A lot of work now can get done, and it's got to get done on like a local level. Think globally, act locally.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting because we had Adrian Jefferson on last Monday, and she was saying a lot of the same things, and it's incredible to see. And there's one of the things that I mentioned was she's so approachable on a human level that if there's an issue, I know that I can hit up and things can start to move. And that could be something as simple as you have to wait. You're getting a little too overexcited. There are things in the works and you have to wait and you have to be patient. And look, no one wants to hear they have to wait, especially when dealing with these incredibly important issues that are fueled by belief and emotion. So of course there's so much passion there, and there's so many people have just been waiting for way too long, but if we just sit together and actually have open and uncomfortable conversations, these are the things that where true change will grow from. I think, and that's one of the most beautiful things out there. And I love that even in this time where you could be just promoting and being as I like to call it, as carny as possible, because I am as carny as possible. I mean, I'm wearing my own sweatshirt. You took these last couple of moments and you said, hey, there's change that still needs to happen. And we still need to work forward. This isn't just a do not pass go, do not collect $200, type of thing. There's still work to be done. And at least now moving forward, there are people that you can talk to get that work moving in the right direction. That is a huge, if no one takes anything else away from this incredible interview,
Unfortunately,
they'll take that.
Have to go behind the brand.
Okay.
Myself, Prestige, Easy Blues, Alex. Thank you very much for being a part of the program. We appreciate you on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, New Haven. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Definitely.
Definitely. Thank you so much.